There's a Moedik of Shevuos Halachos. The Shevuos Halachos brings down that Avada and Avada, every Yontiv has a special place in our heart. Every Yontiv has its own Kedusha, has its own Ashpaz that it brings into the world and into our lives. Oba, Zug the Heilige Shevuos Halachos, when it comes to the Yontiv of Shavuos, there's something special. Right? And this is not the time right now to go through all of the ideas. And Mr. Shem will be discussing that maybe Shavuos night. But one small idea that the Shevuos Halachos brings down, that he says, that he calls it, the Lashon of the Shevuos Halachos is, he compares it to a pasuk in Shemois Chavov B'riach Etichoin by the Mishkan, that sometimes, says the Shevuos Halachos, when you have a building and you need to keep up the building, there needs to be a foundation pillar in the middle. Sometimes you have like a huge hall and you have a pillar in the middle, like, oh, why'd they have to put the pillar in the middle? The answer is because obviously it needed it for the structure to keep everything up. The middle is the most important. That's where often the weight is put down onto, and without proper real foundations, without structure, and without chizuk and strengthening, the whole thing will collapse. Zug the Heilige Shevuos Halachos, Shavuos is in between two Yom Tovim. It's in between. On one side you've got Pesach, on the other side you've got Sukkos, or whichever way round you want to take it. You've got Shavuos is in the middle of the Shalosh Regalim. So the Heilige Shevuos Halachos, Shavuos is B'riach Etichoin, and that's what is. In fact, the Shevuos Halachos continues, and he goes on B'drush, and he says that which Shlomo HaMelech tells us in Mishlei Perek Gimel, Yikorehi Mibepnimim, that it's greater and more dear to us than pearls, which obviously, as the Medrash explains, is referring to Torah. Or Bezug the Heilige Shevuos Halachos, it's also referring to the Yontiv of Shavuos, that it's more dear to us, it's more precious to us than the greatest pearls that may be. The Heilige Shlach Kodesh brings down that the Yontiv of Shavuos is the Yom Hadin for Torah. And in fact, I always said for years, until somebody showed it to me inside in Reb Baruch Memezh's Sefer, that I was always more scared of Shavuos than Rosh Hashanah. L'maisa Rosh Hashanah said, Avada Yom Hadin. But Yom Hadin for what? Many things of Gashmias, healthy and parnasa, which are very, very important things. But Shavuos is much more choshev. It's the Yom Hadin of Torah. Without Torah, you have nothing. And therefore, Zug the Heilige Shlach Kodesh, Shavuos is the Yom Hadin of Torah itself. Zug the Shlach Kodesh, just like Rosh Hashanah has before it, preceding it, has the month of Elul as a preparation. Zug the Shlach Kodesh, we have 3 days before the Yontiv of Shavuos, to prepare to get into it. This is where we're holding basically now, which is important. Rav Shach said he heard from Rabbi Zalman Meltzer, who heard from the Netziv, who said in the name of the Ran that Chag HaShavuos is the Yom Hadin of Torah, and not only for the guf of Torah itself, but anything that applies to Torah. So obviously how much Torah you're going to get, but all the kelim, the utensils that we require in our guf in a physical way, also get decided very much on Shavuos to know how much Torah we're going to have and how that Torah is going to go inside. The Slonima, which is also, by the way, in the Ramchal, says that Torah is nitzchis, which means it's not only for when what happened at Kabbalah Torah over 3,000 years ago, but it happens every single year. The Arizal brings a moedik raya. Zug the Arizal, listen to this raya. The Arizal says, Moshe Yedaber v'lekim yaneni b'koil. It says Zug the Arizal moedik. It doesn't say Moshe Diber, he spoke in the past. Yedaber, it continues to happen, Zug the Arizal, every single year. It's happening. It's an unbelievable opportunity that we have. We all know, and we're familiar with this idea, which I want to be machazik as well, the Magen Avraham brings, the Beheita brings as well, Tov Tzadi Daled, the famous Arizal in Shara Kavonis, where the Arizal brings down, and maybe we'll discuss that maybe just now for a couple of minutes, and that is if a person does not go to sleep, if a man doesn't go to sleep on the Yontiv of Shavuos by night, and he learns the whole night, he's learning of no Sicha Batela, is not talking about anything else, he's poshet learning the whole time, it's a guarantee, Rabbi Isai. Look this up, it's in Arizal Shara Kavonis, brought down in the Beheita, the Magen Avraham also brings it, Tov Tzadi Daled. It's a guarantee from the Arizal that you will live the year and no harm will happen to you. What a chizuk we have to take from that and make sure that the night of Shavuos we are learning the entire time. Many boys over here last year, if I remember correctly, took on a tiniest dibur, that straight after Birchas Hamazon until Neis, they didn't speak anything that was not Torah, that was not Tefillah, and that's a Gevaldige Zach, and they want to machazik in this Arizal and want to get the Avtacha, the guarantee from the Arizal, to make sure that they don't talk anything else, they learn the whole night. That's the Arizal said, not stam if you shmooze, if you learn the whole night. Many people take a tiniest dibur, it's a Yom HaKodesh, it's a Yom HaDin, why would you want to mess around? What is it, 4 or 5 hours? No, we'll manage to talk about everything else afterwards at a different time. The Yisoid V'Shoresh V'Avoda, when he talks about staying up all night, when he talks about learning all night, he says person should run to the Beis HaMedrash straight after the Suda. Don't mevatel zuk the Yisoid V'Shoresh V'Avoda for 1 second, he says. Every moment is so choshev, it's so important. So we know that's the minhag. The minhag came from, of course, what we know that Klal Yisrael had to be woken up, they had to be reminded, hello, wake up. There was a veka that went around, they had overslept, they should have been woke, they should have been up, they should have been excited in anticipation of Mekabel the Torah. So Mamela, we sort of make up for that when it comes to the night of Shevuos Hakol. The Magen Avraham brings the idea of staying up all night, which is the minhag, which is brought down also in the Zohar Kodesh, the Magen Avraham as well. Klal Yisrael overslept, and therefore to make up from that, we do that as well. There is another reason as well. There's many reasons. Yeshua Yaakov brings another reason, is that we're only mekabel Torah Shebal Peh until Kovalei Harke Gigis, and therefore this mana Torah Shebal Peh is dafke by night, and that's why we learn by night, because we were mekabel Torah Shebal Peh over there. They ask the kasha, why Lamaisa do we stay up all night? Why don't we just fix the problem by waking up early on Shavuos morning? In other words, they were meant to pashtus, wake up. They didn't wake up, they overslept. So let's do the same thing. We won't oversleep. We will go to sleep. We'll make sure we're up, and half an hour before Shacharis we're already here saying Korbanos. Why do we stay up the whole night to rectify it? So the Ma'aseh that Ibn Ezra brings down, that Klal Yisrael were actually meant to stay up the whole night. They weren't meant to have gone to sleep. How could you go to sleep when you know you're going to be Mekabel Torah? Someone has the koyach to go to sleep. Someone has it. Your heart is beating. It's geschmack. The Ma'aseh of the Tzemach Tzedek. How do you go to sleep? So Ibn Ezra Tarkatain is that they were meant to stay up, but they didn't. Memela, that's why we stay up. Reb Chaim Kanievsky is Atzal. They asked him the kasha, and he said, "What do you mean? Ask any yeshiva bacha. When he's got a flight at 4 or 5 in the morning, is he going to go to sleep and wake up at 3? No. He's going to stay up the whole night. Right? So therefore, that is what people do, and that's what we want people to make people a lot easier to do in that way. Now there's obvious a question of what do we learn on Shavuos night, and there's the famous idea, should a person sit down and learn Mesachos Baba Metzia, Kiddushin, whatever, or should a person open up a Tikkun El Shavuos? Should he go through, if anyone open up a Tikkun El Shavuos, it goes through Mamash Kemat, the entire Torah. Everything, the first and last of the Mishnayos, of the Gemaras, of the Medrash, of the Zohar, everything. You're basically learning the whole Torah. So there's this famous idea that they bring down, that between the Dubna Magid and the Vilna Gaon, it was Shavuos night, and the Dubna Magid comes into the Beis Medrash, and he opens up, Baba Metzia, on whatever Masechta it was. And the Vilna Gaon said, hello, Tikkun El Shavuos, what's happening? So they said, the Magid Kedarka Kodesh said a Gavaldiga Moshel. What was the Moshel? He said, there was a Yid that had to go to work. So what does he know about business? He doesn't know. He goes to the marketplace and he sees that they're selling all sorts of things. He says, I'm going to do the same thing. And he goes to buy a few different pieces of fabric, right? All different colors, different textures, different, patterns, whatever. And he sets up a stall in the market, puts up a whole thing, makes a name for himself, for his business, and he sticks on this big place that he sticks little pieces of fabric, right? And now I'm going to sell it. So a guy comes over to him and says, I like that purple one over there. That's beautiful. How much is that? So he gives a price. He says, okay, I would like, 25 meters of that. So he says, you want 25 meters? I'm sorry, I don't have it. He said, what do you mean? Do you have, maybe you have the blue one? No, I don't have that either. He said, I don't understand. You're a shaita, you're a fool. What you're meant to do is you're meant to show samples of what you have in the warehouse or in your store, and now we get to pick, and you'll go to the store and pick out but if you don't have anything that you have in storage, why are you showing me a sample? So that's what happens over here. Some say, why are you learning Tikkun El Shavuos on Shavuos by night? You don't have everything stored up. You don't have the ganze Medrash, the ganze Zohar, the ganze Torah, Sifra, Sifri, everything else stored up that you're showing the Rabbeinu Shalom examples. What are you showing examples for? Sit down and learn about Metzia. Al Kaponim. minig of many Hasidim and many people is to taka to do it. And the reason for that is, amongst many reasons, is to show the Rebbeinu Shalom we want Torah, we want everything. We don't just want one thing. We want everything. We want Tanakh, and we want Shas, and we want Poskim, and Rishonim, and Achronim, and Sifra, and Sifri, and we want everything. We show the Rebbeinu Shalom, we're opening our mouths. Give it to us. That's why many people do it over there. I want to mention as well a very important nekuda as well, and that is the Hallel that we say on Shevuos morning. Hallel we say on Shevuos morning. The Mishnah Berurah brings it in Top Peches. Mishnah Berurah says very, very importantly that the Hallel on Yom Tov is like Kekriyas HaMegillah. So steht in the Mishnah Berurah. Every word is choshev. People are tired, and it's rightly so. You take been up the whole night, you be steiging the ganze Nacht, you weren't speaking. Now it comes to Hallel. I'm a bit tired. A person is a mechazik himself. Kekriyas HaMegillah. So steht in the Mishnah Berurah. Person has to be careful to make sure that he listens to every word, that he says every word, and that's a very important thing. I spoke to my Shiv actually about this, but just to mention the Aseret Dibros that we say on Shavuos morning. Again, look at the Ben Ish Chai, unbelievable Ben Ish Chai, when he talks about the Aseret Dibros, stand up and be mekabel the Torah. Yes, I understand you're tired. Yes, I know it's hard. But l'maisa to be mechazik. The davening on Shavuos morning is so chashuv. The Avarab on Shavuos morning is unlike any Avarab you'll ever say in your entire lifetime. We spoke about it. You have the shir. Rabbi Say, use the tefillah on Shavuos for an opportunity. It's a Yom Adin of Torah. It's a Yom Adin of Ruchnias. Use it, because it's an unbelievable koyach, it's an unbelievable power that it has. Rabbi said this year, we have a little bit of a unique Gevaldige Halacha Shaila, which we don't have every year, and that is that Shavuos falls on Motzei Shabbos, which, if you want to talk about the drush part of it, we could talk about how the Yom Tov comes with the Hashpaz of Shabbos together, which means you have the Hashpaz of Shabbos and Yom Tov together, which is Moedik. But let's just discuss the halachic aspect and ramifications of having a Yom Tov Shechal Yos ba Motzei Shabbos. Like this year, Shavuos everywhere in the world, Shavuos falls on a Motzei Shabbos. There are a few shaylas that I want to speak out, and again, Rabbi, as we always say in these sorts of shiurim, be'etzem we have to spend more time and more detail, but I'm just giving the Rashi Prokim. If you have a personal shaila, go and ask and consult your local Orthodox rabbi. Let's move on. Shaila number 1. Going to sleep on a Shabbos afternoon. Very negeya. Very negay. I want to sleep on a Shabbos afternoon, but not just a stammer sleep. You know? Normally it's maybe 4 hours, right? This week, I'm going to sleep on a Shabbos afternoon. I'm not even going to feel the tiredness of the night because I slept so long on Shabbos afternoon. Are you allowed to do that? We all know, right? We're all familiar with the Shulchan Aruch, Orach Chaim Simon, Shin Chav Gimel, that you're not allowed to do hachana. You can't prepare on Shabbos for after Shabbos, even if after Shabbos is Yom Tov. By the way, that applies not only to this, which we're going to mention, but it applies to any food preparation. You can't do any food preparation, whether it means putting things on the hot plate, which obviously is Shiloh and Bishul anyway, but any taking things out the freezers, all these things, you've got to be very, very careful of what is mutter and what is asa, because a lot of things are going to be asa because of hachana, because you're preparing for after Shabbos, even though after Shabbos is Yom Tov. Okay? So, when it comes to going to sleep, the halacha is like this. Yes, you are allowed to go to sleep, even if your intention is to sleep more or to sleep in general, simply that I will have the koyak to be able to learn. But don't say anything. Don't say, I am going to sleep in order, so that tonight I'll be able to learn. Don't do that, because that's more, it makes it more of a maisa hachana, and therefore that should be avoided at all times in that case. In fact, it's interesting, I did find in one place in the Oz Nidru, he brings down that it's mutter, because he says it's the tzarech mitzvah, there's no problem. But Akaponim, most poskim say a person should avoid saying, I'm going to sleep in order to wake up, in order to stay up the whole night. That's shaila number 1. Shaila number 2 is shalashidus, right? You've seen the sign, I'm sure, that we're not making shalashidus in yeshiva. And the reason for that is because you're not allowed to have a suda on an Erev Yom Tov too close to Yom Tov. Yes, it's Shabbos, but it might say it's also Erev Yom Tov. So therefore, a person should eat shalashudas before the 10th halachic hour of the day. What is that in Yerushalayim Ira Kodesh this Shabbos? Hello? 4:09. You make sure that you eat your shalashudas before 4:09. This way you've eaten your shalashidis, you've been koveya suda before the 10th halachic hour of the day, like the Shadsin says, Tov Kuv Chav Tes Sikot and Tes. Now, if a person didn't, the Ramah brings Tov Kuv Chav Tes, that a person can eat shalashidis, but should only eat less than a kibetza of pas. So, Lamaisa, what do people do, Taka, if they want to be yotza? Right, it's Erev Shvuos, Erev Kabbalah Satorah. Nobody wants to not keep the Torah in Erev Kabbalah Satorah, right? So, what do you do? So, the answer is you take the Shabbos Suda that you have in the day, right? After Kiddush, you go home, you have a Suda for Shabbos Kodesh, you split up that Suda into two. That means you have a hefsek, a hesach hadas. Therefore, you'll have to bench, make a hesach hadas in the middle, go out for a walk, whatever it may be, 5 minutes, go out the building, walk around the bissel, oinik Shabbos, come back inside the building, rewash, and then we have another Suda again, and that is the way you've had two Sudas, Shalosh Sudas included, and that's what you should do in yeshiva for those guys that are here. And if you are somewhere else, I'm assuming you go to people that obviously know all the halachas in Shulchan Aruch, and therefore, if you trust the Hersha, and therefore they're probably going to be doing this anyway. If they're doing it anyway, therefore you don't say in that case. Don't worry, we will be having snacks and everything erev right before Mincha, Mitzvah Shem. And by the way, when we do serve cake, don't eat too much of it because of this problem as well. Moving on, Hadlokas HaNeiros. So you can't prepare the Hadlokas HaNeiros on Shabbos for Yom Tov, obviously, mainly because of Muktzah, but also because of Achana in that case. And it's also very important to tell women, tell your wives in Mitzvah Shem, and those people in the kitchen, which is very Nageya, for those people when it comes to Motzah Shabbos, the Hainu Shabbos is out, Yom Tov is here, I now want to prepare food for the yeshiva so that I'll be able to eat a Suda, right? And it's going to take time for everything to heat up. The Onim should have patience about it, right? It's not Davy's fault. The Onim should have to have patience because it takes time for things to heat up in order to get ready and hot for Yom Tov. So the halacha is make sure you say Baruch HaMavdil. A lot of the women forget these things, right? Because on a regular Motzah Shabbos they say Baruch HaMavdil before doing Malacha. Over here, they're not really doing Malacha. They're putting on the chicken soup on the blech or something similar to that. They have to say Baruch HaMavdil, right? When doing something for Yom Tov in that case, women should be told to say Baruch HaMavdil. When it comes to Havdalah, obviously we have Yaknahaz, but without going into that, there is the famous shaila of how do I do Boirei Ma'urei Ha'esh on Motzah Shabbos when it is Yom Tov in that case. On one hand, to light a ner that is not l'tzoyrech Yom Tov is very shver. A lot of poskim don't like to do that. To light a candle specifically for Boirei Ma'urei is very nice, but there's no tzorech Yom Tov for that, so why are you doing that? So what some of the poskim do, and the house Rabbi Zion Auerbach has said, Rebbe, you were by the Heilige Rebbe Rav Elyashiv Zatzal so many years. What did Rav Elyashiv do? So he told me Rav Elyashiv took two candles, two tea lights, or two whatever it was that he had, and he put them together. You make it because you need an avuka, right? You can't have a net. For Boirei everyone knows you need an avuka. And therefore one is not going to be enough, so he put it together, and then he pulled it apart. Right, Shmir Shabbos, everybody goes busy with this. Is that called kiboy? When you take it apart, are you extinguishing to some level the flame? Yes, no. Nafkamina, Gabi Yontiv, you're not allowed to do kiboy. Lemaisa, that's why some poskim say not to do that and just make it on the regular neighbors of Shabbos, of Yom Tov that your wife just lit or that the yeshiva will light. You can make a Boirei Ma'urei on that as well. But Lemaisa of Israel told me that is what that's what his shver Rav Elyashiv did. Rav Moshe did that way. The Stipler did that way of putting it together and then separating apart. But again, the Shmir Shabbos and others says just make it on one candle over there. Whereas the minig of Klal Yisrael, as we know, and as hopefully we're going to see in this wonderful Beis HaMedrash, right, Beher Godel is going to be Gavaldik, is the minig of Klal Yisrael to put flowers on Shevuos. By the way, contrary to popular belief, it is not mentioned in the Gemara anywhere. The Makor is Pashtus Maril, and the reason is because of a Simchas HaRegel. The Mefarshim ask, what's Simchas HaRegel? We don't find on Sukkot we do this, we don't find on Pesach we do this. If it's Simchas HaRegel, why don't we do it also by the other Yom Tovim? So they bring other reasons. It's also the Zeichel HaHar Sinai, is the Bikurim, anyone that Mishnah Bikurim, for example, knows, or the Midrashim, or even the Chinuch, very simply says that they used to decorate everything, right? The Zman of Bikurim, Memele, we decorate the Beis HaMedrash, the Beis HaKnesses. Now the Magen Avraham brings another minik, and that is trees, because we know Rosh Hashanah le Peiras Ilanois, and therefore we have trees as well. The Vilna Gaon was Mavatal the minik, and because of Chukas HaGoy, especially the Goyish Zach, to start decorating your places of davening in flowers. It's a Goyish Zach, right? Like celebrating a Christian birthday, same thing. Therefore, Zog the Heilige Vilna Gaon, we don't do it. Now there's a shail in the Vilna Gaon. What was he mavatal? Was he mavatal the flowers, or was he mavatal the trees? The Aruch HaShulchan says that he was mavatal everything. According to Vilna Gaon, feed the Aruch HaShulchan, no trees, no flowers, nothing. Reb Shlomo Zalman, the Stipler, and Kelis Yaakov as well say clearly he was only mavatal trees and not flowers in that case. So therefore, that's what it is. And Rav Elyashiv Lemaisa held in Eretz Yisrael. There's no chukas hagoy when it comes to flowers in the shul, and therefore there's no problem whatsoever. And that's the minig of Klal Yisrael, is you put in the shuls flowers by the bima, by the Orna Kodesh, whatever it may be, everyone to their own minig. What I must mention to you as well, important because Shavuos has a lot of flowers in Yonim, is that flowers in a vase are not muktzah. They are not muktzah, but Rav Elyashiv is a moedik chumrah over here, which is unbelievable. Kamad Das Yochid, as far as I know, is that is when you move a vase of flowers that is in water, move it slowly. And the reason he says that is because if you move it fast, you're replenishing the water faster into the flower and you're going to cause it possibly to grow, which I guess would be enough to mean which type of flowers are inside. It could be they're fully grown already, and therefore in bishlach habishal, so to speak, there should be no problem with that case over there. The other halacha, by the way, is you're allowed to smell flowers on Yom Tov. There is no problem with that whatsoever. We're not goys that you may come to do something, that's only when it's attached. We're finishing off today's last shaila is of course the Ikka Mitzvahs Hayom. The Ikka Mitzvahs Hayom represented for Shevuos Zavada cheesecake. And the shaila is, what are the reasons for eating milchiks? So the Ikka reason that we know that the Ramah being top Tzadi Dalet is very simple, which is the Maril, which is because of the Shtei Halechem, the Zeicha to the Shtei Halechem, which is very interesting. As we've said many times, there's more reason to eat cheesecake on Chanukah than there is on Shavuos. Because according to Ramah, it's a Zeicha to the Shtei Halechem, meaning, because the Halacha tells us in Yehudeya, Simon, Pei, Ches, that you can't have the bread that you had with meat with the bread that you had with milk, Mimele, when I have milchiks and I have fleishiks, I have to bring a separate bread. Zuk the Ramah, to remember the Shtei Halechem that they brought with the korban, then I want to have milchiks. That's the whole pshat. No shaykhs the milchiks. Push milchiks is the heicha timsa to bring another bread, right? People don't know that. As a before Shirah, and that's why there's more of a reason on Chanukah where the Ikka Nes happened because of cholav and milk, and like the Ben Ish Chai says clearly over there in the Medrash, whatever. Therefore, over here it's just a zeicha. Abba, we know Avada and Avada. There are many other reasons as well. The Kol Boy probably the first place we ever find milchiks on Shavuos, as far as I know. I think it was the Kol Boy. Who wrote the Kol Boy? You don't know, because nobody knows. We also don't know who wrote the Kol Boy. Ich weiß nicht. But here's the first makar for eating milchiks. Why? And he brings that Torah is compared to Cholav. Mr. Brewer brings it Avada as well. We also know that Mr. Brewer brings B'Shem Gadol Echad, whoever that may be, that they couldn't have fleishiks because they got the halachas and shchita and agola wasn't negeya. So Mamela, because they couldn't eat fleishiks, they had to eat milchiks because that was more negeya in that case. The Matei Moshe brings the Rosh Tevis of Cholav Chadosh Al Hashem B'Shvuos Seichem. We got the Nazir Shimshon. Cholav is Arbaim. It's 40 days up to Matan Torah. We've got the Bikurim. We've got many different reasons as well that the day Moshe was found by Basya, right, was Shavuos, and on that day she tried to nurse Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't want to be nursed by her milk. The famous halacha that the Goin brings in Hilchas Chalavakim about Torah, that every child has that potential to become Moshe Rabbeinu. All comes from Shavuos, all comes from today. But very important to remember is, what is the bracha you make on cheesecake? Again, Ikka Mitzvahs Hayom. What bracha are you going to make on cheesecake? This is the big shaila, right? So we know, everybody knows the Simon ratio base in Orach Chaim, that the halacha is whenever you have an Ikka and you have a Tovel, so you make a bracha on the Ikka before Yisha Mishnah in Brachas Daf Mem Beis, that the halacha is you make a bracha on the Ikka and you pater the Tovel automatically, right? So the question is, what's the Ikka, what's the Tovel? So according to most, if you have like this, it really depends. If you have a nice thick layer of mazonis at the bottom of the cheesecake, then that would pashtus be a mazonis, and if that's a mazonis, it patters the cheese on the top. Masha ein kain. If the only mazonis at the bottom is pashtus just to hold it up, or call it a cake, otherwise you can't give someone a slab of cheese and say, here you go, right? So you put a bissel mazonis on the bottom just to have that, then it will be a shakal, even though you have mazonis there, because the mazonis is there to ledabek, or to be machazik, or to hold it up, and therefore it's okay. I do have a svara to say that efsha you could say that over here you should rather make a mazonis, because the mazonis that you're having is the zeichav to the shtei halechem, and that's the reason why you bought the cholav. So it could be that the mazonis by the cheesecake is more choshev than the regular mazonis. In that case, you could make a mazonis. But again, in most cheesecakes, it will depend if it's a thin or thick layer. If it's cheese blintzes and all these things, where the mazonis is a thick choshev layer, then avada you make a bracha mazonis on that and everything else. Tomorrow, Mitzvah Shem Rabbi Sai, I would like to do a kitzah, quick crash course in all Hilchos Yom Tov that is negeya to Shavuos. Have a wonderful day.